Okay, are we ready?
I am ready.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new podcast. My name is Finn Campbell, and I'm joined by John Isaacs.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
Great. And this is a new show we're starting called Now to Play, where John and I will be playing through the same game at the same time and checking in with each other's progress periodically, sharing stories of our adventures.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually pretty pumped to do this. So this is one of those, we play games differently, and so it's always nice to kind of bounce back and forth between each other and just the stories and the adventures we're going to have. So pretty excited.
Yeah, and so to kick things off, for the next 10 episodes, we'll be taking it back to 1998 on the original Game Boy because we'll be playing Pokémon Red and Blue. So yeah, I've played most of the mainline Pokemon games. I think the only ones that I haven't touched yet are Sun and Moon for the 3DS, and I haven't also touched Sword or Shield for the Switch. But everything else I've played to completion. My favourites probably being the Johto games, Gold and Silver, for the Game Boy Color. Those are very, very near and dear to my heart. And I also have a special spot in my heart as well for the newest games, Scarlet and Violet. Violet being the one I played. I poured hundreds of hours into that game and just really, really loved my time with that. What about you? What's your Pokemon history, as it were?
So I did grow up with the Red and Blue and Yellow, actually. Those were my first Pokemon games. I remember a friend in elementary school, maybe. Yeah, it had to be elementary school. That was like, hey, this is a really cool game. And so I started playing it. And that was the only one that I beat was Red. Well, actually, I take that back. Red, Yellow, and Blue were the ones I beat. I have Gold and Silver. I started it, and I was very confused why things were different because I thought it was a sequel. So I thought I got to keep on going with the Pokemon, and that didn't work. And so, like, I jumped in and out of a lot of the different games until Sword and Shield, which is funny enough, is the one I beat. So, like, really mainline, I've only beat 2 of the games. If you add in the other ones, 4, because I beat Poke Park 1 and 2. But yeah, and just so you know, Finn, here, I got something nice for you.
Oh?
When I say I've started in Pokemon, this is my original Game Boy.
Yay.
Yellow with Togepi and Pikachu. So yeah, I still have the original games, but those Red and Blue are the OG 151 are near and dear to my heart.
I wish I knew that you would bring out your Game Boy Color as like a flex, because I could have done that as well. I can go grab it right now, but
if you want to, go grab it. That's fine.
I'm playing mine on the Analog Pocket, which is a beautiful little device. I think you're doing the same. Yes.
I am. Yeah, I've got the Analog Pocket too. I'm doing the same thing. So much easier.
Yeah. So we're both familiar with Red and Blue, so this is not a blind playthrough for us by any means.
No.
So in order to mix things up for ourselves and for the audience, we thought we'd do something a little different. We're using a different rule set for our playthrough, and this is called the Nuzlocke rule set. If you're not familiar with this is a kind of popular challenge rule set among the community, and it has 3 main rules. There's some additional rules that we'll sort of describe as we go along, but the 3 main ones are, first of all, any Pokemon that faints in battle must be released or boxed permanently. In our case, we'll just be releasing them to make sure that they're considered dead for the rest of the challenge. Which brings it, that's the challenge in this, it's hardcore. The other big thing is that only the first wild Pokemon encountered in each route or area can be caught. If the player fails to catch it, that's it. You can't catch another Pokemon on that route. You've missed your chance there. So it adds extra drama that way. The third big rule, and I love this rule because this is something I do in my Pokemon games anyway. I know you don't, but the player must nickname all Pokemon they catch or obtain.
Yeah.
And
I don't do that.
Thinking behind that is to create this sense of attachment, like put a bit more character onto your Pokemon, which I always love doing anyway. I've always been against doing Nuzlocke for that exact reason, is that I name my Pokemon, I have a deep attachment to them. I'm one of those people that carries them between games, and they're all on my Pokemon home app, and I bring them out whenever I need them. And it's like, oh yeah, checking in with you. I haven't seen you since Johto or whatever. And so I would be devastated if I got attached to a Pokemon and one of them was no longer. I had to release it, and it was no longer with us. It was, for the purposes of this show, we're going to call it dead. That Pokemon dies, which I think is something they're hesitant to do in the games. They faint, but this sort of makes it a more permadeath hardcore type of thing. So I've always been hesitant to do that in my own playthroughs for that reason. But I thought for this, you know what, why not try it? We're going back to Red and Blue. We could breeze through these games in a couple of hours. We're that familiar with them. They're normally pretty easy anyway if you play them with the default rule set. I think they're meant to be. But let's try something different. Let's see how far we can
Absolutely.
get. We might get wiped.
God.
We might get wiped.
I'm terrified. All right, I'm terrified.
Yeah. So let's get straight into the game. So you open up and Professor Oak is talking to you. He says, welcome to the world of Pokemon. This is going to be your new adventure. You're going to befriend these Pokemon. They're going to fight each other. What do you think of the opening of this game? Does it still hit the same as it did before? Is it still as weird as it was at that time?
I didn't think it was going to hit as hard as it did. Like, I'm going to be honest, it really... This is the first time playing this game since I was 12 years old.
Oh.
12 years old or something like that. So I was like, right when that music started, like, you hear it all the time, everywhere. You know that music. But for some odd reason, that freaking pixel art, and then you start hearing the Pallet Town theme. And I'll be honest, I kind of teared up a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, I was a child. I'm a quote unquote a man now. And I'm like, oh, I remember everything. I remember being in my room upstairs and a buddy of mine where we were trying to figure out how the game works and whatnot. And so, yeah, it really took me back and hit me hard. And I was not prepared for that.
I think the opening of this game is so strong. It has to enter just a lot of concepts very fast in order to place you firmly in this world. But I think it does it so well, it's almost ritualized at this point, where the opening of every Pokemon game is basically the same. It's this, introduction from the professor, and you start in the small town, and you go to the professor's lab, you get your Pokedex, you get your first partner Pokemon, and you go out into this world. It's fascinating to me. It's so fantastical in that you're not on this massive hero's quest, right? In this world, it's sort of this normal thing when you're around 10 years old. You set off on an adventure, you go out and you see the world, you have a buddy with you, and you just go explore. And that to me is such a fascinating tale. That's so much more interesting to me than fighting any great evil. There is enemies you'll obviously fight later on in the game, but they're kind of dorks, let's be honest.
Yeah, they are.
So, and the fact that the way it does it is so special, because I don't know, when you play, there's sort of two ways you can go about it, because, let's start off, you're in your house, right? There's a SNES in the bedroom, which immediately creates all types of questions as to what world we're in, but let's not think about that. It's a nice little cameo.
Yeah.
And you go downstairs, there's a movie on the TV. If you go and interact with the TV, there's a movie on it. Do you know the movie?
I saw it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. Now you're putting me on the spot, and I'm like, shit, what's that movie?
It's Stand By Me. It talks about four kids.
Yep, because it was 4 kids on the train track. That's right.
Very, very nice. Again, sort of, what world are we in right now?
The concept of adventure.
Big time. Yeah. That's exactly. I never put that together, but that's what you're watching on TV.
The whole idea is your kids, you're going on an adventure. That's what Stand By Me is about. And when I read it, because I was a kid. I never watched Stand By Me when I was a kid. And then now that I know about it, I saw that and I was like, oh shit, Stand By Me. I know what you're doing, Pokemon Company. That's well done on that, really nice deep dive into that.
And so your mom tells you that Professor Oak is looking for you. You have to go to his lab. You can either go straight to his lab, in which case he's not there, or you can go. Yeah, okay. So I went to the lab as well.
I did the lab.
Another thing that people do, and you'll end up having to do anyway, is go straight up out of the town into the grass, where you'll be stopped. Professor Oak stops you, and he's like, "Whoa, you can't go out there. It's not safe.
It's dangerous.
They're wild Pokemon. They will attack you. You need a Pokemon for your own protection." And so this is a dangerous world. Pokemon often gets, cited as this kind of, sort of baby world where everyone's happy and it's quite utopian.
Yeah.
I feel like we're at a point in the timeline of Pokemon where they've sort of figured it out, but I don't think it was always this way. I think that the reason there's no sort of like human on human wars, there's not this sort of strife in the Pokemon world, is because the humans had a bigger threat. There are these
And it was Pokemon.
terrifying creatures just existing out in the world that you have to band together from. And, you know, instead of wiping them out, what this world does is it says, in order to coexist with these creatures, we need to partner up with them, we need to become friends with them for the benefit of the Pokemon and for the benefit of us. I just think this is such a strong opening to a game and really puts you in the world so nicely.
I was thinking about that. I was like, because what Oak says is like, it's dangerous and you got to hold on to this stuff. And like now in my head, like there's Pokemon farmers and all this like concept, like these ideas that are like, there's more peace to the world now. But like, they really told you at the very beginning of this game, like, nah, shit's real, dog. And you need something or you're going to die. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I'll follow the old man into his laboratory and figure out what's going on from there.
So we figure out what is going on. He's giving us, as well as our rival, which is an interesting thing as well. You get to name your rival from the beginning of the game, which I can't think of another game that did that at the time.
No.
But for the purposes of this, by the way, your rival's named Finn and my rival's named Jon.
Yes.
So we're like, yeah, it's fun like checking in with you as we go along this adventure. But he brings us both into the lab and asks us to, there's 3 Pokeballs on a desk. He asks us to choose one based off, you know, what we're able to see in the little dex entries that pop up, to choose your buddy for this adventure. So immediately you're presented with this choice. This is going to be your adventure. You're going to do it your way. Who do you choose?
I debated this for a while. I know we actually, when we were talking about this podcast, we sent Rose to make sure we weren't going to choose the same Pokemon. And then right when I sat down, I was like, shit, do I want to go with that Pokemon or do I want to go with someone else? And I was like, oh, crap. And then Rose goes, you committed. You have to do it. And I was like, yep, I did. So I went with Charmander.
Ooh, okay. So in that case, we both went with the Box Boys because I picked Squirtle.
Okay,
so
sweet.
So we're locked into this red and blue mentality. That's fun. It's always a hard choice, no matter what. Mm-hmm. How many times I go through Kanto. These are such 3 great designs that it's really hard to pick. It's a conversation and a debate that gets millennials and Gen Zers going to this day. It's like, you know, I imagine, you know, people talking in bars about like John Lennon or Paul McCartney, who's the better songwriter. It's like, who's your starter Pokemon? Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, and they're all great.
I mean, we see it like on social media, and like millennials are had kids, and like now they're putting their baby in front of the 3 starters and Pikachu too, and they see which one they're going to crawl to, and I'm like, it is so timeless with these 3 specific starters that it's just so hard to pick which one you run with.
Was Charmander the one you would have rolled with as a kid?
It was the one that I rolled with. I'll be honest, like Charmander was the one that I went with the first round, yeah. And then it really is funny because then when I figured out how trading worked, I still had blue too. My parents actually bought me both copies, and I took my buddy's Game Boy and I restarted the game like 6 times so I could get the other starters and get him his starters as well.
Did your parents ever explain why they bought you both versions? Were they just not sure?
They were not sure. I will be honest. They had no idea. I was like, apparently I needed Pokemon, and when I was a kid, I didn't understand that I couldn't have everything in the game. And so I had to explain to him that, yeah, I need both games so I can have all the different style of Pokemon. Because it took probably months of my friends explaining to me, like, no, this is this, but we still had to figure out, like, oh, that Pokemon is only in blue and that one's only in red. So I somehow convinced my parents to get both of them, but I didn't register that I had to trade. So I needed 2 Game Boys, and my parents were not going to buy me 2 Game Boys. I was lucky to get 2 of the game, or red and blue. And so then I was like, oh, I can't grab the saves from each other to shit. So yeah, that was when I called my buddy and I was like, hey man, I need your Game Boy right now. And that's how I pulled off to getting all the starters at the very end.
Which is exactly what they had intended. This game kind of forces you, if you're going to be that, you know, completionist and get everything, you gotta buddy up in real life. It's all about connections, and it's so funny.
Genius.
It's so funny. I talk about this game and how choices are so important. We're talking about choosing our starters right now. it's not even the first choice you make. You get 2 copies of this game, red or blue, pick one. And like there's no internet at the time. You can't like go and look up starters. Maybe you have a game magazine that tells you or something, but it's so funny how just, and it was
different from the No, yeah, it really was. This was the first concept of like console wars, quote unquote. Like, oh, I went with blue, I went with red. Oh, I have this starter, I've got this starter. And then when you throw the anime in there, it's all blown up to hell because Ash is catching all of these bitches, and I can't catch. I started with Charmander, and I can't get Bulbasaur or Squirtle anywhere else. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's funny that Yellow came about from that. People watching the anime and going like, "Why can't I be like Ash?"
Exactly.
What did you name your Charmander? Because we have to name these buddies.
We do. I named him Ignatius.
Ooh,
Iggy for short.
Okay, so in the game, is he Iggy?
No, he's Ignatius.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those things like it sounds dumb, but if anyone looked at the save file or saw it, like if there was a stamp on your Pokeball and it showed like a Charmander and then its name, I wanted to have this gravitas of Ignatius, and you're holding this like badass Pokemon. And then in my heart, for me, he's my Iggy. So I was like, here's your name. The world can see you as Ignatius. Iggy for me.
Mm-hmm.
What about yours?
Yeah, for me, I named my Squirtle. I actually had a name in mind, and then I abandoned it because I saw the dex entry that appears when you're choosing your starter, and something that popped out to me that I'd never noticed before and I found so funny is it talks about how Squirtle attacks by spraying foam from its mouth. And I never realized that before. I guess later dex entries don't cover it as much. But I just thought it was so funny, this little Squirtle running through the grass and seeing Urtata, and Urtata's like, and then Squirtle's just like, so I named it Cremola, which is a reference that will be lost on you. So there was this, like, confectionery drink that was produced out of Scotland in the 90s called Cremola Foam. And it was essentially this little this aluminum can that would, like, have powder in it. And you stir the powder in with water, and it would make this like foamy, flavory drink. So Cremola is the name of this Bulbasaur or Squirtle.
Squirtle.
I have Bulbasaur in my head because I'm thinking of the bubbles still. I think it's so funny. It's just like, Squirtle, use bubble.
Foaming from the mouth, and you're like, oh, Squirtle, well, hold on.
Yeah. So now that we have our little buddy, we can go out into the world. We go through that patch of grass. We're able to fight Pokemon until we reach Viridian City. We haven't got Pokeballs yet, so the Nuzlocke, in effect, hasn't really started yet, because we can't catch Pokemon anyway. Before we leave Viridian City, we end up going to the shop there as well, and we end up learning that we got to go back to Pallet Town because Professor Oak has received a box in the mail, and we have to give it to him, because for some reason... Well, I suppose, there's no Pokemon Center or shop in Pallet Town, so that's as far as it'll get. So we got to go back, and we find out that our rival is there with us again, and we find out that in the box is 2 devices that he has reserved for us, and they are what's known as a Pokédex, and they are these big machines that they give to you for your adventure, and he asks you to, provide him this favor of fulfilling his dream that he never... was able to fulfill because Professor got too old, and that was filling the Pokédex, register, and make accounts of all the Pokemon that exist in the world at this time, but we later find out is only the Pokemon that exist in Kanto.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? Is that sort of, something you took to heart?
I liked that part of it, mainly because there was this, they're really telling you to fight, but then they had the juxtaposition of, oh, here's this research part too, to learn about the Pokemon and like care for them. And I was like, okay, that now being older, I was like, that's actually really cool. That balance of like, yes, we're going to battle, you're going to be a Pokemon trainer, but there's, again, you can learn about them and really care for the Pokemon, and doing this Nuzlocke and naming every Pokemon too, that kind of really helped solidify how hard and how deep I want to jump into this almost full on role playing as Little John running around with this Pokemon. So I really, really loved that.
I don't think they ever, at least up to this point, explain how many Pokemon there are. Maybe you've seen the anime at this point and you know there's 150, but definitely if you're just playing the game with no context, then you're sort of wondering how daunting the task this is. Like, what could there be? Like 20, 30 Pokemon? We're going to get them all.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that much, right? Oh, there are.
Which is just so great. On the way back to Pallet Town, I made my first catch. And wouldn't you know, it's a Pidgey. It can only be a Pidgey or a Rattata at this point anyway, so I got a Pidgey. Yeah. Pidgey is a Pokemon I never really messed with. I always thought it was kind of dumb, kind of plain. So I never really caught one before. So this is really my first Pidgey that's going to be in my party for an extended period of time. Yeah. So Beakwith is what I named.
Beakwith,
yeah. Because when I look at Pidgey, the Pidgey line, sort of Pidgey all the way up to Pidgeotto, I see them as sort of this like aristocratic, like sort of put your nose up at you, like kind of think they're better than other Pokemon, like up in the trees, like they see Rattatas like sprawling, and they're like, these little vermin. So I kind of picture him as like this sort of aristocratic, like lording over all the rest of my party type of
creature.
All right. You go back to Viridian City. There's an old man there that like teaches you how to catch a Pokemon, which is a fun little, like it actually goes into a battle and the old man throws a Pokeball at this Weedle, catches it. It's funny because he doesn't do any damage to it. He doesn't even throw out a Pokemon. He just catches it in one throw, which is just super lucky, I guess. And then he's like, well, when you go out and catch your Pokemon, you know, don't you try and catch it without wigging it first. It's like, you just caught it in one go.
Yeah, you just showed me we could.
Yeah.
Now I got to beat the shit out of this Pokemon. All right, well, whatever.
I feel like he's been keeping that Weedle in his backyard starved for a while for this opportunity to appear, so he could look cool in front of the youth. There's this gym in Viridian City, which we don't really know what gyms are yet at this point, but we appear to it, and there's a man standing outside it saying, this gym is always closed. We don't know who the leader is. We don't know why it's closed, but you can't go in there. There's nothing there's nothing to do. So that's pretty weird. I guess we just move on at that point. Then we go on out of Viridian City into Route 2. I made another catch. It was a Rattata.
Yeah.
I named the Rattata Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah, just straight up after Charlie Kelly from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who has this weird fixation with rats. So I thought that'd be good for him. So Charlie the Rattata.
Fair. Yeah. Charlie the Rattata, nice. I caught one too. This was my first one. I have no idea how I got through Pallet Town. Route 1, didn't catch anything. My first catch was on this one, and I got a Weedle.
Weedle?
And I named that Weedle Freylon.
Freylon? Where does that come from?
Ferlon. It is the French word for hornet.
Oh, okay.
He is Leon to me.
Okay. So you're sort of using your sort of foresight as someone who knows these Pokemon, knows that this thing is going to turn into a bee creature. Do you see it more of a bee as a wasp? It's a bee drill, but...
It's really a bee, and when after I named him, I was like, oh man, I should have named him Nectar. But I was like, what? I needed something a little more up my alley, and I was like, all right, you know what? Freylon, it would probably work. And I was like, okay, French for butterfly. Not butterfly, but hornet. That's kind of cool because he is a bee, but like I like he's a giant effing hornet. So I was like, he's kind of terrifying. I was like, all right, you know what? I think I'm gonna go with that one instead. So yeah, I started rolling with him and my Charmander, Iggy, and so that was fun. I had fun with that one.
And so did you immediately try and train up Freylon to equal your Charmander, or were you just
yes and no? Mainly I did because it was one of those things like I just kept on running into Weedles. That was the craziest part about so far how I've played is it's just been nothing but Weedles, and so since we've been how the Nuzlocke works, and we decided not to have multiples of the same Pokemon, I would have just already had an entire army of Weedles. So I literally have just between Iggy and Leon, I was like, F it, guys, this is how we're going to train right now. We're going to decimate Weedles left and right. It was one of the craziest things. I was like, man, this RNG is not working for me. And I will explain when we get there, but it was just nothing but Weedles. That's all I got for the longest time. I was like, come on, give me a Pidgey, give me a Rattata, anything. I need something right now. And it was just Weedles. I was like, all right, I guess we're just going to train and level up from here. Thanks, guys.
That's so funny. One of the other places you can go to catch different Pokemon is out of Viridian City. You can go left to Route 22, and that's a very interesting route to take because it's later discovered that that is the way to the League. That's the way to the Pokemon League. That's the way you go when you get all your badges and you're ready to become champion. That's the way you go to fight the Elite Four. So weird.
I will be 100% honest. I completely forgot that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Completely. I walked right past it and I just kept on going.
I think a lot of people do, John. I think it's one of those things where it's like, dude, if you go left out here, you can find the Pokemon League. I caught a Nidoran of the female variety.
Okay.
In Route 22, I named it Babs. Because obviously they turn into Nidokings and Nidoqueens respectively. So I was using that in my head. I was like trying to think of a regal name, and then Barbara came into my head because
ooh, that's good.
The Pokédex talks about these poison barbs, but I didn't want to be too on the nose, so I went for Babs. I thought that was a nice little subtle nod to the barbs.
I went a little on the nose because I came back to Route 22. This is actually my fourth Pokemon that I caught. Because I completely forgot about it. So I actually walked back through after we get to Pewter. We'll get there, but that way we don't have to come back. I actually caught a female Nidoran as well, and I named her Queenie.
That's so funny. So, John, it's not an exclusivity thing, but because you're playing Red, you're supposed to more likely encounter a male Nidoran first.
Really?
Yeah. Because I started grinding around that area, and I did encounter a male Nidoran like after 10 or 15 tries. So that's how likely it was supposed to be for you. You were supposed to run into a male one, but for whatever reason, the RNG just blessed you with a female one. Nidorans are a little bit of a weird one for this generation because it's the only type of Pokemon where there's male and female variants explicitly stated, you know? And for the purposes of the Pokedex, they count as, different Pokemon. They grow into different Pokemon. It is something that they add later, and so it, is sort of a bit of a prototype in that way where they will end up assigning genders to Pokemon. Not all of them, but most of them. So that's a funny little thing. Kind of weird looking, honestly. It's a little like bunny creature, but it's like sharp.
Yeah.
It's like, jumping out of the grass at you. So I spent a while in Route 22 just sort of training people up. And when you go like a little bit further towards Pokemon League, which I don't know if you would have even experienced this because you came back here later, but your rival shows up. And they ask if you're going to the Pokemon League and said they won't let you in if you don't have the badges. So the guard won't let you through. He wouldn't let me in, so it's not going to let a sucker like you in. And then he asks if your Pokemon's get any stronger, and then you go into the little battle. A little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. No one died.
Yeah,
but it was getting hairy. It was definitely getting hairy. Did you fight this battle? Did you see him?
I did actually. That was after I did some training and had to reevaluate how I wanted to actually take on the Pewter City Gym. I was like, all right, I've got to go back over here. And that's when I ran into him. And I thankfully handled him pretty fine because I had 3 Pokemon, maybe 4 by the time that I got there. But yeah, I was still like, oh yeah, that's right. Route 22 is here and I'm going to fight Finn. And Finn's being a douche to me right now. So I just get away from me, kid. I don't.
It's a good rival. Immediately, you want to beat this kid. So after that battle, you can go on up. On your way to Pewter City, you have to go through the Viridian Forest, which is this natural maze. There's a lot of bugs in this area, this forest. There's a lot of bug catchers that will challenge you to battle.
So many bugs.
Yeah.
Guess what bug I ran into? 99% of the time, Finn.
Weedle is definitely I was looking at this again because there's percentage chances of Pokemon showing up in different routes depending on the game, and yeah, you're definitely most likely to encounter Weedles, but there should be some other stuff sprawled in there.
I thought there would be
because for me it's Caterpies, and that's what I ended up catching in the Viridian Forest. I caught a Caterpie. That was the first thing that showed up, but I still did encounter some Weedles. So surely it would balance out. You'd find some Caterpies.
I thought it would. I was like, maybe I'll get the mythical Pikachu that I know is in this forest. That would be great. So I went through Viridian multiple times. There was, I shit you not, maybe 3 times where I just walked all the way through. I didn't get hit by anything. And I was like, what is going on?
That's funny.
But yeah, it was Weedles, a Kakuna. And I was like, well, and that's why I messaged you. I'm like, hey man, do I have to get this thing? Because I'm going to have it.
Yes.
Like, this will really screw up my game if I have to catch this effing Kakuna when I have a Weedle. All right, I was like, I was going to be so mad at you if you were like, John, yeah, you have to capture it. Like, I'm playing and I save state this bitch and I'm like, Finn, what the shit am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah,
I was like, I would have broken.
There are no hard and fast rules on that. The general community consensus is like, no, you don't have to, because then, yeah, you'll end up with 2 Beedrills, which kind of defeats the purpose of the duplications clause that we're using anyway. So no, you didn't have to catch it.
I was so scared.
Did you catch anything in the Viridian Forest?
I did after I came back through again, and I caught a Metapod. Not a Caterpie.
Okay.
But a Metapod.
Right.
And I'm like, what is happening? Why?
These poor little bugs that just can't get any love from you at all because you're so sick of them. You're rating on this Pikachu.
It's like, God damn. Like, I actually wanted a Caterpie. I was like, I'm ready for a Caterpie. I always like having the 2 bugs because it works pretty well getting through some of them. But I was like, just give me something. And I got a freaking Metapod. And I was like, okay. And I named him Papillon.
Papillon? Where did that come from?
It is French for butterfly.
Oh my god. Okay, so are all your Pokemon going to be French?
No, I'll tell you when you'll know when we're not French. I was just trying to be fun. My wife speaks French. Right. Why not? Let's do something different. Like, you have Steve.
Yeah.
I have Papillon.
Yeah, I caught my Caterpie. My Caterpie's name is Shoopa.
I'm sorry.
Shoopa.
Okay.
And again, this is sort of inspired by the Dex, where it talks about Caterpie's little like toe beans or like little suction cups, and it can like walk up walls. So it's kind of like an onomatopoeia. It's what I imagine it sounds like when it's using those suction cups, like shoopa, shoopa.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
And I picture like if you magnified the sound, it would just sound like that. And it's shoopa, shoopa, shoopa. So
I dig that. That one's cute. I like that.
But I definitely am with you where it's like I would have been bummed if I encountered a Metapod because I like to start at the beginning and work my way up. I like to train it all the way up. And
we have to talk about my Butterfree, and I will tell you, I am not happy with it.
So your Metapod evolved in this playthrough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a Beedrill and a Metapod and a Butterfree now.
Oh wow, okay. So you had a lot of evolutions this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was your reaction? Think back to your 12-year-old self. What was your reaction when you get notified that your Pokemon is about to change? And it gets sprung on you, and you're just like, "Oh, yeah. It's happening!" Ah!
That's literally what it was. I was like, "Oh shit! Wait, what?" Because I think I've seen a couple of the Pokemon anime, so I was like, "All right, I understood it was coming," but not truly knowing what the levels were and what they might not, or what they would or wouldn't look like. It was fascinating, and I just remember the disappointment I had with Caterpie to Metapod. I was like, what? And then it was one of those like weird light bulbs. I'm like, oh my God. And that's because it does turn into a butterfly. That's actually freaking genius. And as a 12-year-old, I'm like, man, Pokemon's teaching us shit. That's kind of cool. And I hope this Butterfree looks awesome. Cause I don't think I saw the Butterfree episode in Pokemon, but I was like, all right, I see what you're doing with this. That makes a lot of sense.
Butterfree episode, John, it's such an emotionally moving moment.
Dude, I'm about to start watching the original series again and just kind of walk my way through it and catch back up. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's worth it for how weird it is. We'll be talking a lot about the world of Pokemon in this show. Don't extract too much lore from the anime because it gets weird. Mm-hmm. So like, don't worry, we can talk about it in like little bursts, but I do not consider the show canon by any means.
Okay, all right.
Because it's just so weird. But I think the Viridian Forest and filling it with all these bugs is such an important part of selling the concept of this game early on. Because when you look at design documents and you look at the early history of the development of Pokemon, the concept was sort of built out of these designers and these developers catching bugs in their youth and learning about bugs and learning how, they go through evolution, not in terms of like generations, but in terms of, one lifespan. They start off as this little caterpillar. They go into this sort of like chrysalis and then they emerge out as this different creature. And so I think going through and seeing these little bugs evolve, they're supposed to evolve quickly as well, which it clearly has for you. My Caterpie did evolve into a Metapod as well during this. I think you get it. I think you see it and you're like, oh, okay. So evolution is like, going into a cocoon and emerging into something else. And I actually like when the middle version of a 3-stage Pokemon is a little bit lame. I think it's nice. I think it's like reminiscent of like being adolescent and like trying to like,
I guess that's a good point,
fit into your new body, and like your arms are a little bit longer than they're supposed to be and you're not used to it, and there's acne all over your face. And
you know what? I never really thought of it that way. I remember my growth spurt, and it was I literally went from like,
you were in stage 2 of your evolution, and you were like, oh,
I was stage 2.
What's going on?
And then one day I just evolved, and I'm like, oh, okay, I understand how long my arms are and how to move. And you know what? That's a great way to put it. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So I think that's such a good thing. You caught something around Pewter City.
I did. My powering through and just walking and not really being attacked by anything kind of blew my mind. So there was a little field just south of Pewter City, just south of that Pokemon Center, right when you get there. And I was like, please, God, give me something. And I got a Pidgey.
Yay!
And I was happy because I was like, I need something because I don't want to just walk in on Pewter City's gym with no one. So I got a Pidgey, and I named it Maverick. Mm-hmm. Mav for short, because Bird. Top Gun Maverick was a badass movie, and I was like, gonna go with it. I'm gonna make it fly.
I like Maverick for a Pidgey.
Yeah. So, because I get you with the regalness, and I was like, man, but Pidgeot is such a badass, and like he just he knows his shit, and you're like, oh God, I know what I have. I know you're a badass. I know you're kind of cocky. All right, it's got to be Maverick. I'll give you the call sign Maverick. So, no, that was cool. I think the biggest, not issue, but I had to make sure it wasn't considered any other route. So I'm here on the pocket pressing pause because I have the map, and I was like, all right, where am I at? What does my little character say I'm at? Because I'm trying to make sure not to break any rules. I was like, cool, I can catch something here. I need something. And then thankfully Maverick showed up, and I was like, all right, baby, you and we're gonna kick ass and take names with Iggy, and we'll figure everything else out. But yeah, Maverick is my Pidgey.
Very good, very good. And yeah, Pidgey's one of the, like, I get the badass part of it because he's one of the consistently angry looking Pokemon. Is that the eyebrows are always furrowed, and it's like,
you're like, what the hell are you on?
So then the only thing that's left to do in Pewter City is the gym. You got to fight Brock. You got to get the Boulder Badge. He uses Rock type Pokemon. So first of all, I'm going to ask you: did you succeed? Did you get the Boulder Badge?
I got the Boulder Badge after hardcore leveling.
So did I.
I had to. God, I was so scared because I'll be honest, I straight up forgot Brock was the first. You'd think I would remember that. I've completely forgotten. And as I'm playing, I was like, oh shit, I have a fire Pokemon. Crap, I need someone. And so I was probably level 7 when I got to Pewter City. I was like, that is not going to work. So Maverick, Iggy, like I just started leveling everyone up. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. Someone's going to die. I don't want this to happen, but we have to figure out because I need this badge. And so I just kept on leveling up. And then that's when I registered. Oh shit, there's Route 22. So I ran back down there because I was like, you can get a Mankey. Mankey is fighting strong against rock. I was like, if I can get that Mankey, then I'm crystal. I'm good. I can go. And that's when Nidoran showed up, and I was like, all right, F it. I'll just keep on going. That Nidoran was a level 3. I was like, all right, well, screw it. I got Iggy, and actually everyone but Queenie is at least in the teens. Mm-hmm. Like Iggy and Mav are both 14s, and I was like, that's the level cap. I'm going to stop there. And then I got my Papillon. My Butterfree only knows Harden. This is what I hate because... So yeah, that's... Yeah.
I meant to say that because you caught it as a Kakuna, it only knows one move.
I caught it as a Kakuna. Yeah, like I caught it as a Metapod. And I was like, let me do this. And then I did look it up. I was like, all right, you're going to learn something at like 11. Yeah. So my ass is just sitting here.
Yeah.
All right, come on. Let me throw you in. You're my first Pokemon. Let me pull you back out. I walked Viridian Forest for hours. I walked that little section around Pewter City where I caught Mav 4 hours. I'm like, I just need you to have a poison or some shit like that. And right when he evolved, it got to level 10, he evolved. I was like, oh, hell yeah, cool. 11's right around the corner. I got to 11 and it still didn't show up. And I'm like, son of a bitch, it's because you caught you as a metapod. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with you now. Back in line, bitch. So I was like, screw it. I just went no holds bar. I was like, F it. I'm taking Iggy and I'm taking Mav. Anyone else can help out. I really don't care. And I went to the Poke Center and I was like, I'm buying like as many freaking potions as I humanly possibly can. How many I can hold? And thankfully, I only had to use 4 potions. I was impressed that Mav's sand attack saved my ass.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I like my whole idea of Pokemon is I'm just going to hit harder than you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to do. I can't play that way. That is not how I can play. I have to be strategic. This is now chess to me, which I love. And I was like, hold on, let me get the sand attack. Like Brock's Pokemon don't actually do rock attacks. Mm-hmm. They're just tackle and bind. That's all I got. And I was like, okay. And defensive curl. I was like, okay, I can get past this. My Ember is pretty strong, so I can knock out some points or knock out some HP on that one. But I took my Brock's Geodude versus Iggy, and that was a pretty simple fight. I think I had to throw 1 potion. But I took Pidgey, I took Mav and threw him against Onyx, and I just kept on like spraying him in the eyes. I was like, nope, sand attack, quick attack, sand attack, quick attack. And like I would just keep on getting hit by that. He did that bind, but Mav could hold on. I threw him a potion and then a couple gusts, sand attack. And anytime tackle came up, he missed. So it was only bind. And so I started calculating, all right, I have 3 attacks for bind. And like right when I got to the very end, and actually you'll have the video, I was like, I think I can throw Iggy in there and throw Ember at him and call it a day. And I did. I was like, oh God, thank you. I was scared, Finn.
John, that's so good. And I'm so glad to hear that because that is what this Nuzlocke is designed to do. It's designed to get you to think more about these Pokemon moves. I love Sand Attack. I love lowering the opponent's Pokemon accuracy and just like they keep missing stuff. And they
keep missing. I was so just thank God.
Because like bide is pretty nasty. Because if you do just go in hitting, if you don't kill that thing by the time it's done biting, it will kill you back. And that is such a nasty thing to deal with early on in a Nuzlocke. I was able to roll through this gym purely based on type advantage. Cremola was level 11 when I walked in, and water is 4 times effective against ground rock.
Jesus.
So I just bubble, foaming at the mouth, and they died. I actually had more trouble with the fight before Brock, which is like just this one guy standing in the gym with the Diglett and the Sandshrew. And I actually had more trouble with them. The Sandshrew was pretty nasty, but yeah.
I can't wait to get one. I love Sandshrew.
I know you do, yeah. Sandshrew looks a little weird in this game. They hadn't figured him out yet. But still very lovable. I love Sandshrew too, to be fair. And yeah, so we both got the Boulder badge. That was pretty sweet. And
no one died on either side. That's great.
Yep, no one died so far. We're doing good. I love that you Sand Attack with Maverick as well, because that's one of the things, in the early games, they really try and tie the moves of the Pokemon to like the Pokedex, and like in Pidgey's Pokedex it talks about how like it can't really use its wings to fly up that high yet, so what it does is it flaps low to the ground and kicks sand up into the other Pokemon's eyes. So you were actually doing that. You were doing...
I was so scared. I'm sure Rose would tell you, like, I text her, I'm like, I'm nervous. She goes, what are you nervous about? I'm like, I'm about to go take on Brock with my with my Pokemon. She goes, are you kidding me? That's what you're nervous about right now? I'm like, I'm scared. I love him. All right, shut up. Yeah. This is go time. I can't lose my Pokemon, all right?
Oh, that's so funny. But we did it. We got there. We are officially Pokemon trainers with badges verified. And so that's where we're going to leave it for now. We're going to do 1 badge per episode. So we'll be back here talking about everything we did on the way to the next badge. That will be in Cerulean City, where we're going to go challenge Misty and get the Cascade badge. And on our way, we'll be investigating what exactly goes on at Mount Moon. You're scared of Misty because you're a fire type.
Yes,
that's
I
going to
am.
be interesting to see how you deal with that. I'm a water type, so I should be able to make it work somehow, probably, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you have that weird type-on-type advantage.
Yeah, so like water attacks won't do much to me, but I'll need to figure out some other way on offense. And yeah, we're going to have to investigate what's going on at Mount Moon, so we'll probably catch some more Pokemon around there. And yeah, that'll be in the next episode. Until then, John, do you want to tell them where they can find us in the meantime to check out other cool stuff?
Absolutely. You can actually find Now to Play and other CouchCapades podcasts anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you want to see our beautiful faces, why don't you go over to youtube.com/@CouchCapades. You can see the video podcasts, you can see the Let's Plays, you can see the live streams. It's all content just for you to enjoy. So we hope you do. And then, yes, we are on social media. It's TikTok, it's Blue Sky, it's Threads, it's Instagram. You can find us all at CouchCapades. Yes, that's it. But Finn?
Yeah.
I've had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to keep on going. This is what I wanted. I'm so happy we're doing this.
I hope we make it.
Oh God. I will actually probably call you and be like in tears going, dog, I died. I don't know what to do.
I hope it's the Metapod that you hate it from the start. I hope it grows on you and becomes one of your favorites.
If it just learns a damn attack, I will be so happy. I need it to be my underdog. Papillon needs to be my underdog, and just all of a sudden, like, I'm just gonna throw you in there, and all of a sudden it goes, oh yeah, I can learn everything.
Yeah. Hopefully you stick around. Hopefully you enjoy this podcast. If you do, leave a comment and let us know what you love about Pokemon and what you remember from these games from your childhood. But until the next episode, we will see you later.